Hello, welcome to Module 7, our final module in Reset Yourself. This module looks at the outside-in factors. This includes, but isn't limited to, our behaviour, our environment, people and the situations we may seek out or avoid. I'm lumping all these areas together as they're universally linked with the idea of control and also choice and lead to some basic but practical solutions. Support for our emotional well-being can often be very practical. Habits and systems that help us make healthy choices and feel more powerful in our world. Let's look at some ideas to give you a deeper understanding of your relationship with the external world. Firstly, let's consider this idea of communication and control. Think of control on a continuum, like a slider on a mixing desk. And this slider shows how strongly you believe you have control over the events that affect your life. This is known as the locus of control. This idea is essentially about where a person perceives control to lie, inside themselves or outside of themselves. It also links strongly with how we communicate our needs, so I'll lay the communication styles over the top as we go. At one end, we have the internal locus of control. Here, people believe that they are responsible for what happens to them. Success or failure is seen as a result of their own effort, ability, or choices. For example, I did well on the exam because I studied hard. People with an internal locus of control tend to be more proactive, take responsibility, and feel more empowered to change their circumstances. But they can also be more self-critical, controlling, and demand certainty from their world around them. At its worst, we may be playing God. Nobody likes the feeling of being told what to do or being pushed into a certain pathway that maybe wasn't their choice. This behaviour can be very damaging in relationships. A higher sense of control creates a higher sense of perceived certainty and therefore perceived safety. If I know what's going to happen, then I can control the outcome for good. What I've previously called bulletproofing a situation. This mode can show itself through aggressive communication. I have needs and they will be met. At the other end, we have the external locus of control, where people believe that outside forces, such as luck, fate, other people, control what happens to them. For example, I failed the exam because the questions were unfair. People with an external locus of control may feel more relaxed, cruisier, and more open to whatever comes their way. But they may also feel helpless or dependent on luck and at times be passive and voiceless. They may also be more attributional and blaming after the event when things go wrong. This mode can lead to very passive communication. I don't have any needs, or I have needs, but I won't or can't voice them. It's okay to be passive if it truly doesn't matter to us. You truly don't have any needs right now. For example, you go to the cinema with a group of friends. What film do you want to watch? I really don't mind. I'm just happy to be out with my friends. But there are other times, most times in fact, where passive may mean we either don't know how to voice our needs or we're scared to voice them because there's an aggressive party dismissing or shutting our needs down. Or we worry about the consequences of expressing them. Over time, if our needs are not even heard, never mind met, we may find the world pretty joyless and disconnected. We'll likely build resentment or anger, or we may learn to become helpless and powerless, and our sense of self deteriorates. Sometimes this shows up through being overly fatalistic about your own life, not taking any action on things you want, just hoping the universe will somehow deliver it. Most of us, hopefully, fall somewhere mid-range along the slider most of the time, but we will, at times of stress, find ourselves being pushed into a more extreme end. The communication style that links in the middle here is assertiveness. This is about getting our needs heard and understood, but not expecting them to be met. Assertiveness is an adult, non-emotional way of communicating a need, and when done effectively, can bring other parties' emotion down and understanding up. There's a very simple formula for assertiveness, which is as follows. Your needs, so you repeat the other party's needs back to them. However, our magic pivot word, My needs, your chance to have a voice and be heard. And then, what shall we do? You're not trying to have all the answers or sway the other person's mind. You're just setting all the arguments on the table to be seen and heard, and then wondering how best to proceed. Knowing where we sit on our control slider is important awareness, and also knowing that we can adjust it to be more helpful. Some days we might need to push up a little more and take more action, and some days we might need to lower back and let things go a little. Use assertiveness to help bring yourself back into line. Control the controllable. So here's a little exercise for you. Copy this picture down and have a think about the following. What can I control? And write this in the middle circle. What can I not control? What is beyond my control, or what do I not even need to worry about controlling? What a relief. And write that in the outer circle. Take a few moments to do that. Feel free to pause the video and come back when you're ready. Let's have a quick look at those circles. You may have put lots of different things in there. You may have really struggled with this exercise. Either way, absolutely fine. Quite simply, what can go in that middle circle is what I do, what I say, what I choose to attend to. Notice I haven't put in there I can control what I think, because although we can manage our thinking once we notice it, as you know from previous modules, thoughts just randomly enter our heads and we have very little control over what pops in most of the time. We can influence our thinking. If we're looking after our foundations, then we're more likely to have straightforward thoughts as our filters are stronger. Whereas if we're under stress and not caring for ourselves, it's likely the thoughts will be more troubling. We can, however, always decide whether we attend to that thought or not. Random thoughts, intrusive thoughts, fantasy or functional are all part of being human. And in that outer circle, we would put things others do, things others say and others attend to. You may want to add wider concepts in there too, such as the weather, nature, natural events, as we can get very frustrated if it rains when we want it to be sunny, for example. For many people that I work with, they put far too much in that middle circle. Their emotional brain tells them, you must control this, or you should be responsible for that, where that is often the outcome of other people's behaviours or emotions. For example, we may have a friend who's quite unwell and needs our help. We can be a supportive friend by being alongside them, asking them what they need, letting them know we're here. But sometimes, if our locus of control is too high, we might be in front of them, possibly doing lots of things for them that we believe will make them better, even if they haven't asked us to do that. We go into what's called rescue mode. And guess what? We may be left feeling utterly helpless and powerless if they don't get better. The recovery is very much up to that person. Their health is under their control. By rescuing them, we're disempowering them. Be alongside, not in front of. This exercise is helpful in knowing what your limits are and what your true responsibilities are. You can link this more specifically to the identities and values you hold from previous modules and explore your limits and responsibilities within each role. Be honest with yourself and accept what your limits and responsibilities are in any role. Be okay with it falling outside of something you can look after or influence, and give yourself permission to step back. It may feel awkward at first, but you can cope with that. More circles. We now have the support circles. This next element will explore people. We are relational beings, and this means that people are important to our emotional state. Most importantly, the people we surround ourselves with. So, these circles are more concentric circles this time, and this exercise I call the circle of me. This image represents your world as it is right now, and I invite you to put yourself in the middle of this circle, however you like, initials, a picture, a doodle, and then take some time to plot all the different people around you in your world. You can plot using an X or initials or an image. There is no right or wrong way to do this. It's more of a vibes-based exercise. You may plot certain people close to the centre as these are the ones you feel very close to, and those you don't feel particularly close to, you may plot them on the outer circles, for example. You might want all sorts of people on here: family, friends, teachers, colleagues, random strangers, celebrities, people who have died, pets. You may even plot things. I'm giving you minimal guidance as how you experience people in your world is absolutely up to you. Some people we have functional connections with. Some we have practical connections with. It doesn't all have to be emotional. Pause the video and give this exercise a go. Welcome back. Let's now review your circle of me using my example here. There is no magic number of people we should have in the middle or the outside, etc. Your version is absolutely your unique version. What I invite you to do is to review your circles and ask yourself, what do I think of this picture? Is it okay with me? Or is there anything I'd like to change? This is an opportunity to reflect on how supported you feel and how connected you feel or don't. From an emotional and purely theoretical perspective, is there anybody we'd like to pull in closer, or anybody we'd like to let drift out a little further, or even scribble out completely? Anyone we've missed that we would like to be on there that isn't on there? Give your social world a quick reassess and allow yourself to play imaginary God for a moment. We obviously can't control what other people do, but we can control what we do. If you want to be closer to someone, are there things you can do to invite that and build that relationship? Contact them a little more, even explicitly say to them, I'd love us to be closer. And the people you're letting drift away, what sorts of things would you do to considerately let them go? What would you be saying no to or doing less of to let that rope out a little more? This exercise feeds into our sense of connection that we looked at right at the beginning in the foundations and our sense of belonging. From this picture, it can be helpful to see a visual that you are supported, to see who is there when you're in need. Or maybe it shows you that you want to build a stronger network, and that's okay. Let's just talk about support for a moment. Connection doesn't mean the person needs to know everything about us. Feeling seen and heard doesn't mean they see and hear everything, just what we choose to show that person in that moment of time. You might have somebody who knows the distress you're under. They may be a professional like a therapist with whom you specifically talk about your distress, but they may also be a friend who just makes you laugh and who you go to when you need some different energy. Or shows love practically with acts of service. They look after your kids or turn up with a meal on your doorstep, even though they don't know anything about what you're going through, but just know you need a bit of scaffolding. Support can be a tricky thing to ask for. Instead, we tend to work hard to show people we're okay, we're fine. Generally, we humans are not great at asking for help. We can be too proud and see asking for help as a sign of weakness. Side note, it's not, it's an absolute strength. We may be a people pleaser and see our need as an inconvenience or a burden to others, so we keep it hidden. Side note, you are important and your needs are important. Or maybe we haven't got the skills or the courage to ask for help. We fear rejection or ridicule by asking for help. If you have people anywhere on your diagram, close or otherwise, there's a high chance they would like to help you if you ask them. And by not asking them, you're actually denying them the chance to do that, the opportunity to help you. Give them a chance, especially those closest. The best outcome is that they do help. The worst, true outcome is that they can't help you and they let you know why. Let's be realistic. Humans are fallible. Loved ones may not show up as you want them to. It might be disappointing or frustrating, but you are in no worse a state than if you don't ask, and you've at least given them the chance and can now move on to someone or something else that may be able to help. Don't go into a secondary story about why people can't help. Just leave it as a functional thing. They can't. Let's move on. Our next exercise links with emotions and our behaviour. If we bring our attention to an activity that generates pleasure or achievement, then that will improve our mood and our experience of right now. So improving how we feel can often be a very practical doing approach. This exercise is, small circles, and these are the PAC bubbles. PAC stands for pleasure, achievement, connection. The purpose of this exercise is to identify activities that promote and cultivate useful emotions in you. I invite you to draw the circles out, and then in one colour, write down what you currently do that brings you pleasure. Anything at all. And then the things you do that gives you a sense of achievement. These aren't necessarily things we think of immediately as fun, so it might be making our bed, doing the housework, getting homework done, completing a deadline, a workout, etc. And then connection. What activities bring us alongside others? It could be as part of a group or club, a regular activity, or something more spontaneous. You'll notice that the bubbles overlap, so some of the activities you choose might give you pleasure and achievement, or pleasure and connection. For example, baking a cake with a loved one might be all three. So the things you currently do, write in one colour. Then, in a different colour pen, have a think about the things you could do that are new to you. Maybe it's things you used to do and don't do anymore, or new things you've never tried but you're interested in doing. You're not committing to doing anything by writing them in. You're just offering yourself opportunities to expand your chance of improving your mood. Get creative, get fantastical, no wrong answers. Feel free to pause the video to do this. Our next idea is the concept of gratitude, which may be familiar to some of you. It's noticing what's going well. Again, that attention torch we spoke about before, it can easily build what's called attentional bias, to only shine on the things it wants to, like a filter. And one of its biases is to only pay attention to what is going wrong or going badly. We can then develop a narrative of, of course this is happening to me, bad things always happen to me, the universe is against me. Whereas if we widen the beam of our torch and see all the other stuff that's going on as well, we have a much more balanced and helpful view. This is not about toxic positivity. Everything's lovely and wonderful. Obviously, crap happens and things go wrong. But we also really need to acknowledge what's going well, so we can feel and experience and remember the stuff that's going well. Our attention isn't just about what's happening right now. It all plays into the bigger story we're telling ourselves and we're living by. Gratitude helps shift our story to a more helpful place. If gratitude is new to you, it may feel just a bit numb to begin with, and it won't really hit home because our neural pathways aren't there yet. Give it time. Gratitude is a skill and it needs practice. We can build gratitude in many different ways. Choose what suits you best. This could be picking a time of day to purposefully list what you're grateful for, and just do it in your head. For example, walking to work, I choose 3 things I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for the fact I can walk to work. My body is amazing. Look at that beautiful tree. I'm grateful I'm surrounded by nature. And I'm grateful I have a job. Or you might prefer writing, so keeping a gratitude journal and writing in at the end of the day or the beginning of a day over a cup of tea. Or you might prefer verbal or collective acknowledgement. As part of a family or a couple, you could discuss gratitude over dinner together each evening or before bed and share what each of you are grateful for that day. Or you might be more visual, so you can take pictures of different things on your phone and choose 3 pictures a day that represent what you're grateful for. You could then put them in a folder called My Gratitude folder and go through that folder whenever you like. Or even put some of those pictures up on your wall so you've also got that reminder around you. We'll now look at journaling. We touched upon journaling just now, and this is another activity that some people find really useful. So let's cover some ways to approach journaling. The first is the classic way, by creating a daily journaling habit. Each day you just write about your day, possibly at the end of the day or the beginning of the next. This can be a way of dumping your day down, but without overanalyzing it. Sometimes events get stuck in our head and we ruminate on them. By getting them out of our head, it can lighten the load and allow a greater chance of perspective or understanding. You can reflect on your writing the next day and notice how you feel about the events with some space away from them. Another journaling approach is what's called morning pages. This comes from a book called The Artist's Way, a book about unleashing creativity. Here you wake in the morning and just start the day writing 3 sides of paper, putting whatever you want in there. It doesn't need to make any sense. You're just brain dumping, allowing your mind to start to waken and come to life and connect. Just scribble. And then you close the book. You don't go and reflect back on it. It's just a way of clearing the head before you start the day. And a final way of journaling, of sorts, is just keeping a notebook by our bed. Then, at night, if the amygdala is really noisy and we have an overactive brain, we can just say, okay, what are you telling me? And we write it down. It's a way of putting all the worries into a form of worry journal, telling your amygdala, it's okay, they've been looked after, those worries are safe until tomorrow, so now we can go to sleep. Now, whether you look at them or not the next day is totally up to you, but they've been taken out of your head for now and don't need attention. Our next element is compassion, more significantly, self-compassion. Studies have shown self-compassion to be a huge antidote to anxiety and shame, and compassion immediately lowers the emotional driver in our nervous system. Self-compassion is the ability to be kind to ourselves, even through suffering, to be gentle to ourselves, even when stressed. Compassion is when we show understanding and kindness to another or ourselves under difficult circumstances, to cut ourselves some slack. We are all fallible humans. We all make mistakes, and usually there will be an understandable reason behind that mistake. Sometimes compassion is just being open to the idea that we or the other person is a fundamentally emotional being. There is something going on for this person that we're not aware of, which is why they're behaving like they're behaving. It doesn't excuse the behaviour, but just gives it context. We tend to find compassion for others easier than compassion for ourselves. This is because our pesky amygdala gets in the way and may start to throw a load of rules or beliefs out that hijack our ability to be kind to ourselves. Such as, well, we're not worthy of love, even from ourselves, or we can't possibly be okay if we do stupid things like this, or we must be perfect, otherwise we're bad. Be careful of how critical your amygdala can be. They can be a nasty bully at times, and this needs managing. If you cultivate self-compassion, you can start to quieten your inner destructive bully. Ways to improve self-compassion include asking yourself, well, what would my best friend say to me right now? Or practicing what's known as a loving kindness meditation. You can find these on the internet, and they help grow the idea of sending love to others and ourselves. If you want to do a deeper explore, I recommend the work of Dr. Kristen Neff. Her website's at the end of the module, and she has some great exercises on her site. And finally, the last idea that can be very helpful and is very practical is what I call a monkey audit. Going back to the emotional rules the amygdala holds and our sense of control or responsibility, sometimes we are looking after way more than we need to, and we're also carrying it in unhelpful places like our head. When our amygdala gets fired up, it tends to think of everything as urgent, everything's on fire, and everything needs attending to. This can create a big spike in our stress, as it creates a sense of scarcity. We don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, love, friends, resources, etc. So, the wombo combo of feeling we have loads to attend to and not enough resources to do so can feel very stressful. There's a Polish proverb which reads, not my circus, not my monkeys. We need to get clear on what we truly need to be attending to and what we can let go of. Clarity on what are our monkeys and which monkeys belong to another circus. So I have created the monkey audit. This exercise is best done at the start of your day or the start of your week. You grab a pen and paper and write down everything that's on your mind or in your head. And I mean everything. No filtering allowed, no judgments given, just get it down. You may write a list or it may be more of a mind map. Really doesn't matter. Get it all out. Then grab a cup of tea or your morning shower, whatever, but walk away from the list for a moment. This is so that you can get into your PFC and get that in charge and disconnect from your amygdala and what it's worrying about. Then, when you come back to your list with your PFC in charge, go through it and cross out everything that, on reflection, does not need your attention at all. Be brutally honest about this. Use your PFC. There will be things you're carrying that are of no true benefit for you to be attending to. Then, on a separate piece of paper, write a column for today and the next week ahead. Go through what's left on your original list and identify when you actually need to attend to each element. So yes, there are things you do want to action, but today's Monday and you actually can't do anything about this thing until Thursday. So write it on your sheet as a Thursday action and cross it off your list. Keep going until you have allocated a space for all the monkeys you need to attend to and deleted all the monkeys you don't need to attend to. All you need to do now is give your attention to whatever monkeys are on today's list. This may be something you do as a one-off when you're feeling overwhelmed, or might be something you do weekly to help set intention, manage your time, and manage your to-do list more effectively. Our heads are terrible databases. Get out what you can and know what you truly need to be attending to. So that's just a few ways we can think about who and what we attend to, the external factors that affect our mood and the internal factors. As you may have noticed, part of managing our mental and emotional well-being is creating systems that scaffold us. Practical solutions support good emotional health. These exercises aren't one-offs. You can revisit them as often as you need. They may look different and show different outcomes at different times in your life. Everything is fluid. So, this was our final module together. Remember, you can go back and revisit these modules as and when you need. We're all both a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. All that's left to say now is thank you so much for being alongside me in this work. I hope you found something that was useful to you, and the model and the exercises have provided you with a framework to support your emotional well-being. Remember to pay attention to what you pay attention to, and don't believe everything you think.